Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. Just give me 10 minutes of your time today. I have a couple of news stories I'm going to get through very quickly, but giving you the information and updates that I believe that you need and possibly that you want. Now, Education Secretary Linda McMahon has confirmed that the mass layoffs at the Department of Education are part of a larger plan by the Trump administration to dismantle the agency. Now, while the administration claims that this is about reducing bureaucracy, critics warn it could jeopardize public education as a whole new source. So this is very important as it is dismantling the United States Department of Education.
Could be at risk of having to pay back their student loans if their work doesn't align with the president's agenda.
A lot of these people work for NGO organizations, for nonprofit organizations that engage in illegal or what we would consider to be improper activities.
President Trump plans to sign an order directing the Education and Treasury departments to look into who's part of the program and what they do. It comes days after Education Secretary Linda McMahon was sworn in to lead a department the president wants to dismantle.
We're clearly not doing something right.
McMahon says she supports the president's mission.
He believes, as do I, that the best education is closest to the student.
President Trump says states know what's best for students, not the federal government.
They're going to do a lot better than somebody sitting in Washington, D.C. that couldn't care less about the pupils out in the Midwest.
Democrats in Congress are against shutting down the department. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy says it would hurt schools that rely on federal funding.
Nobody in America wants the destruction of public education.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says he supports making the department more efficient, but
do we need to destroy it? Absolutely not.
Good old Bernie Sanders still at it again. Boy, that hair is wild. He should probably look at Donald Trump and say, where do you get your hair implants or your toupee from? But I digress. I'm just making fun. But nonetheless, do I believe that the Department of Education should be shut down? Like I said before, if you're going to shut it down and you're going to increase the local state Department of Education and somehow have a federal committee where the states can somehow submit federal loans amount in order for students to get federal loans to go to school, then that would be sufficient. Again, but you need an oversight committee. You need some sort of board of directors to have that funnel through the federal government to make sure nothing is fraudulent, because that's what this is about. This is about eradicating fraudulent loans from our education department. This is totally what this is about, because fraud, waste, and abuse has been going on in the federal government for a very long time, and it's been under both administrations, not the Trump administration. What I mean is the Democratic as well as the Republican administrations. What people are seeing here is 50 years of fraud, waste, and abuse that Donald Trump, by the way of Doge, coming in and auditing the federal government, all the fraud, waste, and abuse that's occurring. So again, don't just think this is the Democrats or the liberals or this is the conservative Republicans trying to cover up things. No, this is just one president and his administration seeing all the years pass of all this fraud and waste inside the federal government in almost every sector of our federal government. And he's trying to dismantle, eradicate, and eliminate all of this fraud, waste, and abuse, and I'm here for it. So again, I hate the fact that people are losing their jobs, because there's over like 1,300 people losing their jobs. I hate to see that. But nonetheless, I say there's going to be a lot of speed bumps and things to overcome. And again, there's a lot of people losing their jobs, their livelihoods, their retirement, their pensions, because they're going to have to go inside their retirements and pensions in order to suffice their life until they find a new gig, a new job, and career. Now, the Department of Education is set to lay off 1,300 employees. And this is behind Donald Trump's promise to close the agency. I'm not stating that that's bad. I'm not stating that that's good. But again, this is to eradicate fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay? Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this story. U.S. citizen, Indian American, but she's a U.S. citizen nonetheless. A 20-year-old University of Pittsburgh student. Her search has intensified in the Dominican Republic after she went missing during a spring break trip to Punta Cana. Authorities are investigating all possible scenarios, including foul play. Now, multiple stories have it that she and a couple of her friends was on the beach at the resort, at the RIU. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but at the RIU Hotel, which is also a resort, there in the Dominican Republic. There was on a beach with a couple of guys. I don't know if the guys were American or from another country or if they were Dominican altogether. But supposedly her friends with a couple of other guys went off somewhere, maybe went to go get something to eat, while she stayed on the beach with a guy she was talking to. And that's the last time they saw her. So again, they're doing a wide search and looking for her. And she's been missing, if I can recall, from March 6th. We can get into some of the details here, but she's been missing since March 6th.
Officials in the Dominican Republic are not releasing any identities other than the one of the missing student from the University of Pittsburgh. 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki was last seen on surveillance camera with 7 other people. The Dominican National Emergency System is coordinating search efforts on the island for Konanki. And what I was able to find out overnight through a law enforcement source in the Dominican Republic was that a young man is being interviewed by the Dominican National Police because he is believed to have been the last person she was with. 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki was last seen on surveillance camera with 7 other people entering the beach at the Rio Republica Hotel in Punta Cana on Thursday at 4:15 in the morning. According to my source, Kate, 5 young women and 1 young man who were with her left the beach area at 5:55 a.m., but Konanki stayed behind with 1 young man who was also part of the group. That young man is seen on surveillance video leaving the beach area 4 hours later at 9:55 in the morning. Konanki was reported missing at 4 in the afternoon that very same day. Overnight, I also spoke on the phone with her father, who has traveled to the Dominican Republic. Subaraidu Konanki described his daughter as a very nice girl and a very ambitious young woman who wanted to pursue a career in medicine. She's a pre-med student at the University of Pittsburgh, where she was a junior.
We haven't officially heard anything from Ukraine.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Hold on. That is very, very unfortunate because, again, a father, a mother, possibly losing a child. And again, she was with this young man that they seen 4 hours after her disappearance leave the beach. And we don't know, if she possibly drowned or she drifted off into the sea or a victim of kidnapping. Nobody really knows. And hopefully they found her. But I wanted to make you guys aware of that particular story. I don't know if you guys heard anything about that. But again, I'll keep you guys updated. If you're new to Black Logic, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you guys are prompted every time I release or go live. Now, the U.S. will engage with Russia following Ukraine's decision to implement a 30-day ceasefire. I'm just giving you guys current updates because we're getting closer to a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. But the details remain unclear. Now, this could signal a diplomatic shift in the ongoing war, but I'll, again, keep you guys updated as you guys stay locked in. A federal judge has ruled in favor of Trump's control over the U.S. African Development Foundation. So it seems as though a lot of these judges, what they're doing is, I think they're toying with the American people. And of course, if you are a strong Trump supporter or you're glad about the things that Trump is doing, then you may initially get upset at all these federal judges like, hold on, let's look at this, but then they approve it. And this is just saying, we're doing our due diligence or we're combing through every fine detail. But in the end, all of these federal judges are allowing Donald Trump to do exactly what he wants to do. And that could be good for the country. Again, the jury is still out. The jury is still out. But nonetheless, a key agency for funding projects in Africa, that is what this is about. And a lot of the Democrats argue that this could shift U.S. priorities away from foreign aid, while supporters say it's about cutting unnecessary spending. I think it could be a bit of both. It could be a bit of both. Now, the UK government, Prime Minister Starmer, has responded cautiously to Trump's new tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, stating that it will keep all options open, but has not announced any retaliatory measures yet. Yeah, they did. The prime minister came out and said, oh, yeah, we're going to do exactly what Canada did. We're going to impose retaliatory sanctions, or not sanctions, rather, but tariffs on the United States of America. Then Donald Trump says, okay, well, we're going to do 50% tariffs on American steel and aluminum. And they say, oh, we're going to think about this. We're not going to just, do retaliatory tariffs. We're not going to do anything like that. So again, they're backing off just as well as Canada, by the way of Ontario, has backed off because of some of the countering of their counter. Or again, as I said before, is it counter or is it recounter? I digress. Now, let's get into one of the most important topics that I believe that I'm covering today is credit cards. Very quickly, the average credit card interest rate, or APR, is currently around 23%. Okay, 23%. And when I was teaching finance here on this channel, what I was teaching people is you need to at least have 2 credit cards, these revolving accounts. I used to kind of give these steps in order for you guys to get a 720 credit score. A 720 credit score is like the golden number that you can start to get really low rates of interest, whether you're trying to buy a car, a house, get a personal loan, a business loan, whatever it may be. And again, a business loan is a little more complex because you want to have a NAV account. You want to have little small business loans. That way you can trickle and get larger loans in order to operate and start your business, so to speak. But when we talk about credit cards, a lot of people are like, oh, the interest rates are 23, 24, 25%. I never really look at interest rates because I know that I am disciplined with my finances, meaning that if I have a card, let's say with $25,000, $35,000 on it, I know that I'm only going to utilize 30% of that credit card, because when you go over 30% of your credit card, your utilization will decrease, will decrease your credit score. They have this algorithm, they have this method or process that when you go over 30% of your credit card balance, they automatically decrease your credit score, meaning that you're not doing well, you're not being a good steward of your finances. But the Democrats is actually doing something good. Could you believe that? Could you believe that the Democrats are actually proposing legislation that the American people want? This is astonishing. But again, the average APR credit card interest rate is around 23% on average. Now, of course, they could be lower, they can be higher. Now, we're talking about these credit card interest rate and what the Democrats has done, because in a rare bipartisan effort by no other than Senator Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley, they have proposed a new bill to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 5 years. 10% for 5 years. And this aims to ease financial burdens. Now, of course, probably Republicans argue that it may reduce access to credit for lower income Americans. I don't know how that will happen. But if we come into this, and Ocasio-Cortez, she's kind of behind it as well. But it states here, echoing a campaign promise from Trump. Echoing a campaign promise from Trump. The bill aims to realize a pledge that was touted as a solution to the debt many Americans face due to high credit card interest rates by capping rates for around 5 years. The bill will provide a period of relief to consumers. As of December of 24, Americans hold $1.21 trillion in credit card debt. Wow. An increase of $45 billion from September of 24. Now, what's more, 7.8% of U.S. credit card debt is serious delinquency, meaning Americans are facing potential credit score damage, increased financial stress, and looming threat of collection. No, can I tell you guys what this truly is about? If they lower the interest rate on credit cards, that is going to give you guys a lot of wiggle room to pay off your credit card debt. And if you pay off your credit card debt, a lot of the banks, loan sharks, and people who loan out money and who sends out credit cards will be able to get their money back. This is going to help America to get out of debt. So they say, okay, you guys are charging 25. As a matter of fact, let me pop something up for you guys very quickly. I didn't want to do that. Give me a second. Let me see if I can do it over here on my other screen. Didn't want to do that. Give me 1 second, guys. I really want to show you one of my credit cards. That way you guys will understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the interest rate, the amount of credit limits that they give us, and how this is aimed to really for you guys to pay back your debt. And this will also help other Americans to be able to get credit cards and be able to pay off these credit cards, okay? Now, here's one of my credit cards. I just want to make sure there's no sensitive information here. Okay, here we go. All right, I don't think that's sensitive at all. All right. So here's one of my credit cards. This is one of my business credit cards, right? So we have the credit limit at $25,000 here. We see that I usually pay off all my credit cards prior to the end of the month. Because what happens is if your credit card, no matter the interest rate, if you don't pay off your credit card 3 or 4 days before the end of the month, they tack on whatever interest rate to the balance that you have. So a lot of people, let's say for instance, you have $5,000, balance on your credit card. And a lot of you, I'm just gonna pay the minimum amount, 25, 35, 50 bucks, right? Then they tack on 30% of the amount. This is the basic equation, move the decimal point times whatever, and then they're applying an extra $500. You're like, wait a minute, I just paid $35 on my credit card. Why did it go back up? Why is this so significant? Because again, this is one of those credit traps that people get in thinking that I can just pay the minimum amount. They will never tell you to pay the minimum amount so you don't incur interest. But what I've always done is paid off my credit cards by the end of the month and never go over 30% utilization of that credit card. Here's another trick that you guys can do. You take the minimum amount that they tell you that you need to pay, and then you also times that by 10. You'll come to a conclusion. But nonetheless, let me show you the interest rate on this particular card. Here's the interest rate. A whopping 30% APR. And this is on my business card. Okay, this is on my business card. Now, if you look at my last 5, this is American Express. I want you to look at these numbers because I'm about to change this credit card. Let me make sure there's no sensitive information that someone can steal my information. Here's another one of my business cards. Now, that was my Business Plus card, okay? That was my Business Plus card. Let me show you my other business card by Amex, okay? So here's my other business card, okay? I have a balance because I probably paid over like I usually do. I hate owing people, okay? I absolutely hate it with a passion. Let me, I can't see my APR. Give me 1 second. Yeah, we're diving into the details here as I'm ending here. I just want to show you guys. Okay, here we go. Here's some more data. Here we go. So again, we see my total balance. I'm actually have a credit of $2 because I overpaid. It's my cash forward refund. Okay. And my balance of this particular card is $21,500. As you guys see, I try to be a good steward of my finances. High balances where I never really owe any money because I pay it all before the end of the month. Okay. Now let's look at some of the credit details here. Let's see credit details. I'm trying to look for my interest. Now, this was kind of different. Let me see if I can find out what my interest rate on this particular card. They're not really showing. Let me see. They're not really showing the interest rate on this particular one. They had a hyperlink where it shows me my APR. See, view balances and credit definitions. I'm looking for my APR on this particular card. But again, it's probably around 30% or so. So it's probably around 30%. But I wanted to show you guys that you should never, your credit cards, in my opinion, you can use them for quite a couple of things. One, we use it to accumulate travel points, right? Travel miles. We use it to accumulate points to get discount at certain stores. Like I have a card for almost everything. I have an Amazon card because I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. Gap when we go school shopping for my son, and they give you a lot of cash rewards, but I pay it off. So again, I use all my credit cards as a tool for benefits. When I travel, I have an American Airlines Aviator card. I have a Delta Skylines Amex card. So I have a card for almost everything, but I pay them off, get the points, and fly first class. Get the points, get free food. So all these things I use as a benefit, but again, you have to have discipline. A credit card is not an extension of wealth. Let me repeat. A credit card is not an extension of wealth, but if you use it wrongly, it will be an extension of poverty, because that's where credit card debt will put you. So again, this bipartisanship that first came off as Donald Trump trying to, again, get America out of debt is being bipartisan. You have Ocasio-Cortez, you have Josh Hawley, as well as Bernie Sanders all supporting this because it's going to help Americans to get out of debt. And this is what a lot of Americans thought the Democrats was going to do. Remember when Obama was in office, he actually did a couple of good things. He made it where credit card companies, you had to put the fine print larger. Make the fine print larger so Americans are knowing, wow, this credit card has 25%. Do I really want this credit card? Am I a good steward of my finances? Do I have discipline? Am I going to pay off my balance? Am I going to go of 30% utilization on my credit card? Again, you guys know yourselves better than I do. Okay. I use these things to live a better life, not a great life, but a better life. So when I used to see people, getting free gifts and I just use my points. I cash in my points. You cash in your points. How do you do that? Well, you get a credit card. Again, I don't want to go through it all over again, but you guys know exactly what I'm getting at. But nonetheless, I thank you guys for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Black Lives.